So loyal to George, and I owe him so much. He at one time said, would you consider playing an Obi-Wan type character handing Excalibur down to the next generation? I said, when would that be? And at the time he said around 2011. I thought, gee, as much as I'd like to have a job lined up at the turn of the century, I was figuring out how old I'd be at that point, and I thought, well, I don't know.
Star Wars is back! Well, I guess it never really went anywhere. They made another movie, which is a big deal, and they're going to make more. The Force Awakens. Did I like it? Yeah, I really did. I think I did. I don't know anymore. Boy, Star Wars sure makes you think. Not only been a fan of Star Wars since 1977, but I'm also a fan of really good storytelling. And so The Force Awakens kind of bothered me on both levels, I guess. My main gripe with the prequels, is the same kind of problem I have with The Force Awakens, and that's just lazy storytelling. The more I thought about it...
Hi everybody, I wanted to stop right there because we tried to do this video a few times. It's been a while since the movie came out, so every time we tried to do the video, we kept coming up with new ideas, things to add, things we wanted to say that we didn't include before. We wrote them all out, had a pretty long script. We tried to organize our thoughts, figure out everything we wanted to say, and still it wasn't enough because we kept coming up with new ideas, things we wanted to add. So basically, in a nutshell, we really liked the movie. It was a lot of fun, a lot to live up to. It was basically kind of restarting at a similar storyline as the original, which is fine, you know. But it started, as Star Wars does, it started to give me ideas. We started to have ideas that stories we thought we would have rather seen. So, and you know, to be fair, I'm sure they probably went through a bunch of that too, figuring out after all these years, where do we want these characters to be? So, my thought was, I would like to see the movie start 30 years after Return of the Jedi and have it just be the New Republic is a peaceful force in the galaxy, and the First Order is an organization, a terrorist organization that was kind of started by the Knights of Ren. In the 30 years we've been away from Star Wars, we learned that Leia has passed away, and there was a rift among Han, Leia, and Luke. Now, I would still want to see a Han and Leia have a son who they discover is Force sensitive, and they ask Luke, who's been training new Jedi in the 30 years, they ask him to train their son. Leia reaches out to her brother Luke and asks him to train their son. Luke senses some conflict within him and feels it's too dangerous to train him right now. And so Leia decides that she's going to turn to another Jedi who Luke has trained to mentor their son. And Luke advises strongly against it. It causes a big rift between Leia and Luke. And it turns out that they were well advised to heed Luke's warning, and their son turns to the dark side, forms the Knights of Ren, and that causes Luke to go off on his own. Doesn't speak to Han or Leia in 30 years, and in that 30 years, as I said, we find out that Leia, heartbroken, has passed away. I see Leia as having been the leader of the New Republic, not like a general or a queen, because as princess, she was Princess of Alderaan because her mother was the queen, or her adopted mother was the queen. So I just see her as like the leader of the New Republic, and we learn this in the opening of Episode 7, which I thought should have been called the First Order. I thought that was a great name for it, and it's the emergence of the First Order, where they're starting and terrorizing the galaxy and growing in numbers and strength. And Han is a widower, and he is reaching out to his son. He wants to save his son, but he needs Luke's help. So he's trying to find Luke, and we can see plenty of Leia in flashbacks in the form of holograms, similar to how the message that she gave to Obi-Wan, and I thought that would be a very poignant scene to see her recording a message for Luke, or recording a message for her son or for Han or whatever. We see these recorded, and so that would give you a chance to play around a little bit with Carrie Fisher and have her set in different time periods. You can do whatever you want to with the special effects on that, and I think it would be very kind of very effective that way with a hologram. I think recording of her prior, to her passing and everything. So Episode 7 would be Han reaching out with these new characters, trying to find Luke, trying to save his son and the galaxy. Episode 7 again would be the reconciliation of Han and Luke, and I think that Episode 8 would have been the perfect time for the death of Han Solo. If Harrison Ford didn't want to do 2 movies, could have filmed all his stuff together. And I think that Episode 9 would have been a perfect time for Luke to make a sacrifice to join the Force, like Obi-Wan did, after training Rey, his daughter. And I see, because of all the discussion about who Rey is, whether she's Obi-Wan's granddaughter or Luke's daughter, I think she's Luke's daughter, because it makes sense that the episodic Star Wars movies are the saga of the Skywalker family, and she is definitely the focus of the new trilogy. But I think you can have it both. You can have your cake and eat it too with this. You can have her as, in the 30 years, you could have Luke discover Obi-Wan's daughter, and they could, where Rey could be their daughter. Rey could be the daughter of Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi's daughter. And I see, and a lot of people are asking, can Kylo Ren be redeemed after killing his father Han? And I think that Han could have still made the promise to Leia, but that could have been like on her deathbed or whatever, that we didn't see that this happened in the 30 years prior to Episode 7. And I see that I would say that even in the current story that we have going into Episode 8, that Kylo Ren has to be redeemed at some point in the story, or else Han Solo's sacrifice is in vain. It's a meaningless sacrifice. I think the image and just that whole last encounter with his father and knowing what he did to his father and everything should torture him, and should be ultimately the guilt should make him turn to the light side in a moment where he needs to stand up to Snoke and his sacrifice might save Rey, and I see that happening either way. But in the story that I was thinking about, I'd like to see him do that, and Episode 9 end with Rey seeing the Force ghosts, becoming a Jedi Knight, and seeing the Force ghosts of all the Jedis that have come before her, including Mace Windu, Qui-Gon Jinn, even Anakin, and a young Obi-Wan, and finally joining them, Yoda as well, of course, and finally joining them would be Luke at the end, and I see that would wrap up her story. Where it goes from there, I don't know, but again, these were all thoughts that kept evolving, and hopefully this is it. So I don't want to make any more videos about this movie or the ideas or whatever. Plenty of other things to talk about, Star Wars related, instead of this. But anyway, those were just, I just want to get that out there, get that off my chest, and thanks for listening.
But again, my nitpicks and criticisms are because that's what Star Wars has kind of developed me to do as a critical thinker and a storyteller. And so, in that sense, Star Wars is back. And I'm happy it's back.